Hello, welcome everyone. We're so pleased you've joined us again today in this very busy season. Thank you for making time for our webinar with Dr. Chris Diadamo, Choosing Quality Supplements, How to Develop a Discriminating Eye. I know you'll be glad you made time for this in your schedule. I'm Maria Ackerman, President of Biocidin Botanicals. I hope everyone is enjoying the season. It really is a very special time of the year. 1 week ago at this time, all of us at Biocidin Botanicals were enjoying our company-wide virtual holiday party. That's right, 55 plus people on a video party. We're all scattered all over the US and Canada, and it was so wonderful to be together virtually. You can see us here dressed in our seasonal jammies and other finery. It was a lot of fun. We also took a moment to reflect on our accomplishments in 2023, and most importantly, how we positively impacted the health of so many this year. And many of you understand firsthand what a great feeling that is. So it was a joyful gathering. I hope you're finding moments of joy in the midst of the busyness. So today marks the final webinar in our fall speaker series. And once again, our audience includes both healthcare practitioners and wellness enthusiasts. Our registration numbers for today's session were the highest ever. So we know there's a tremendous interest in understanding how to choose high quality supplements. Here at Biocidin Botanicals, we work hard to make it easy to select products that address your needs, and we are really all about simplifying the path to wellness. I know how confusing it can be. So we've organized our portfolio into 5 categories. You can see them there on the screen. We begin with remove, clear away obstacles, bind, which of course is where our ever popular GI detox comes in to intercept and eliminate toxins. And then we have restore, where the focus is on balance and healing. And our defend category is top of mind this time of year when all of us are looking to optimize our immune systems and resilience. And last, but definitely not least, is our smile category that promotes oral health, because as research is telling us, new research every day, the whole body health begins in the mouth. So we're going to be focusing on those product categories today during maybe everyone's favorite part, the grand prize drawing. And in the spirit of the season, we're giving away 5 prizes this time. Usually it's 1 or 2. We're doing 1 from each category this time. So for remove, we're going to give away our BioClear microbiome detox program. Of course, we're all thinking, or a lot of us are thinking detox coming around the first of the year. Bind, we're going to do the same. BioClear includes our signature biocidin blend, which is now certified organic, by the way. The restore category includes one of our newest products, GI Intercalm, which we just launched this summer. Of course, we're thrilled. It won an award almost immediately, the Nexty Prize for Best New Supplement. And our 4th prize, you'll receive the products in our defend category. I hope you've checked this out already, but we have an incredible throat spray. I'm never without it in the wintertime, and especially for travel. And finally, our smile category prize, which includes our newest product, Dental Flora, Daily Oral Probiotics. We snuck this in right before Thanksgiving. I hope you have seen our education about that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute here. So I think we're going to pop that up. We've been so excited about this. Let me tell you quickly what this is all about. So as pioneers in microbiome health, with our amazing Dentalcidin oral care system already in place, Dental Flora Daily Oral Probiotics was our next natural step in the smile category. So the latest oral health research points to oral probiotics as a way to cultivate beneficial bacteria in the mouth and support oral microbiome balance. That's a mouthful, but that's where we're focused. As the Dentalcidin toothpaste and the Dentalcidin LS oral rinse, they weed out unwanted bacteria. Dental Flora seeds the oral cavity with beneficial bacteria. So we worked once again with our good friend, Dr. Ariana Ibrahimian. She's a functional dentist and also a member of our scientific advisory board to develop Dental Flora. So it's really easy to use. It's a dissolvable tablet. It contains a proprietary blend of 4 research-backed oral probiotics. It's sweetened with xylitol. It's naturally flavored with organic spearmint leaf extract. Super simple and easy to use with profound oral health benefits. So we are excited to add that to our line, and I hope you all get a chance to try it soon. Okay, so now I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest, Dr. Chris D'Adamo, who is not only a respected epidemiologist and researcher, also a member of our scientific advisory board. So he understands that quality is of the utmost importance when it comes to supplements, and will guide us through some key factors to consider when evaluating them. Welcome, Dr. D'Adamo. So glad to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Look forward to the webinar today.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So let me just introduce Dr. D'Adamo. He brings such a wealth of experience to our conversation. He directs the Center for Integrative Medicine at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, where he also serves as an assistant professor. He has been the principal investigator for clinical trials and observational studies, authoring more than 75 articles for peer-reviewed and scientific journals. He's so uniquely qualified to address today's topic, and we are, of course, excited to hear from him. And then I have the privilege of chiming in on today's topic. I've been in this industry for more than 20 years. Okay, it's getting close to 30 at this point. I owned a supplement manufacturing company for about 5 of those years. I am involved in product development here at Biocidin Botanicals, so I have firsthand experience with ingredient sourcing, formulations, purity, regulatory compliance, and of course, manufacturing practices. We're going to cover a little bit of all of that today, so I'm excited to add my perspective and experience to the conversation. Okay, let's go over our agenda. First, we're going to hear from Dr. D'Adamo. He's going to sharpen our supplement selection acumen so we can navigate the overwhelming options available. And as you have questions, please add them to the Q&A. This month for this webinar, in addition to the members of our clinical team who are always on board, we also have Liz Woodard. She's our Senior Manager of Quality and Compliance. She is on hand to field your questions. She is detailed, scrupulous, and vigilant in leading our quality program, and also a valued member of our product innovation team, which is really where quality begins. So between our Biocidin Botanicals team and the live Q&A session following Dr. D'Adamo's presentation, we're gonna do our best to get as many of your questions answered as possible. So as always, we are recording today's webinar. Look for a replay link in your email by Friday. You're also going to receive a valuable resource from Dr. D'Adamo, a list with descriptions and contact info for the organizations he will discuss during our time together. So as I mentioned earlier, we have both healthcare practitioners and wellness enthusiasts registered for today's webinar. So if you've been with us before, you know we love a good poll. We love it to use it as a way to get to know you all better, to understand your perspective. So let's take a poll here. So who's joining us? Remember, you guys, you need the latest version of Zoom. We'll put the instructions in the chat there to help you update your app if needed. But take a few seconds and respond to this. We just want to know who's joining us. What's our mix today? Okay, great. Thanks everybody for participating. Looks like we have a lot of healthcare practitioners. Great, great. A good mix of wellness enthusiasts as well. Okay, great. Thank you for participating. For those of you in our audience today who are practitioner partners, which it looks like it's at least half, well, it looks like about 75% actually. And hopefully you already have a free practitioner account with us. You have access to Biocidin Academy, and it's our online educational hub, exclusive benefit to account holders. So I hope you've had a chance to see our updated navigation. We're all obsessed with it. It's not only gorgeous, it's also user-friendly. If you're a licensed practitioner and don't have an account, you're missing out. This is something you definitely want to do. I promise it's quick, it's easy, it's free. Our team's going to put a link in the chat for you, so definitely do that. Very excited to announce today for our wellness enthusiasts and for your patients, if you're a practitioner, we have something for you too. We're unveiling Health Hub in a couple of weeks. This is a little sneak peek here. It's going to be an incredible source of curated content you can rely on, all about the health topics that matter to you. So if you haven't already, follow the link in the chat to sign up for our newsletter, and you will be first to know when this actually is launched. It'll be later this month. So, okay, we're ready to go here. We're ready for the main event. Dr. Diadamo, we're excited to hear from you. I will turn it over to you now.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Marie. And I was really honored to hear we got such a great turnout today. This is a topic of great interest and I think really big importance. We think of how many people take dietary supplements and how challenging it is to navigate, the aisles and, websites full of different types of products. So hopefully going to give you some tools today to make better choices. And, I come at this topic as one who has done many different studies of dietary supplements, clinical trials, observational studies, systematic reviews, case reports, the whole gamut, teaching healthcare professionals and the general public about dietary supplements, and then also being a big consumer of many dietary supplements myself. So I'm constantly looking to, supplement, pun sort of intended, my knowledge on this. So if you've got thoughts, please feel free to share them in the chat or Q&A. But we're going to do another quick poll here. So we got a few questions here that we'll take a look at and see what people think in terms of what are the factors that influence choosing a supplement. And looking at the early returns here, it looks like the ingredients are number one. Brand trust, another big one. These are good ones. And let's see what else. All the above. So it looks like there's a variety of different responses here, and we will go through a number of these today, actually. All right. So thank you for chiming in. All right, and let's go ahead and proceed. So let's see if I can take this off. All right, awesome. All right, so what I'm going to do is first, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, kind of give a high-level overview of dietary supplements, including the topic of regulation, which is where I think there's a lot of confusion, actually, among both practitioners and just the general public. And then get into the resources, resources on product contents, importantly, resources on efficacy, and then resources on the purity, which is a really big one. Then we'll go over a few to avoid, and as Marie mentioned, we're going to do some Q&A. Okay, so what is a dietary supplement? We'll take it very high level here first. As defined by the 1994 Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, some of you may have heard referred as DSHEA. It's a product other than tobacco, and you can imagine there was probably some lobbying stuff going on there, intended to supplement the diet. So these are dietary ingredients that are taken orally. So actually, topical skin creams, shampoos that may contain, probiotics or vitamins or so on are actually not considered dietary supplements. And these are the four main categories that we've got: vitamins, minerals, herbs, other botanicals, and amino acids, and a representative example from each category that has, some impact on the immune system. All right. So regulation, again, an area of, I'd say, considerable misunderstanding and different opinions and so on. Dietary supplements are regulated. A lot of times we hear that they're not regulated, and they're not regulated like drugs. They're regulated as foods, and everything before DSHEA is assumed to be safe. Any ingredients after DSHEA have to provide some kind of safety evidence. The FDA also ensures that there are labeling and claims requirements. All right, so you need to have a label on the package. It needs to state the ingredient names and amounts. Now, it might not actually contain what the label says, and we're going to get into that as we get a little deeper into here. Directions for use, and you can't have health claims. Now, that's a bit of a dual-edged sword, because there are many dietary supplements that have robust evidence that they have effects on human health, but you'll see there's this sort of tempered language that needs to be on labels, which I think does a disservice to companies that are doing research. And then, going back almost 20 years now, there are a series of good manufacturing practices that have all kinds of quality standards and inspections on manufacturing, preparation, how products are stored, what the facility is like, and so on. And then products are also regulated by the FTC, and this is around, the marketing. So, for example, something that would be Miracle Cure, that's not going to be able to stay in the market very long if the FTC catches wind of that. So there is regulation of dietary supplements. But as foods, there's limitations in terms of what can be claimed. So supplements cannot claim to prevent or treat a disease. Now, that's even if there is evidence that they can. So there's basically only drugs can make that claim. We know there's many nutrients and dietary supplements that can prevent or treat a disease. These are just a few of them. So this is something that we just need to be aware of in the marketplace. There's also regulation in terms of conducting research. And you may say, well, I'm not a researcher. How does this affect me? Well, it does, because we actually are somewhat limited in terms of what we can study. So you may have heard this term before, structure function. This will lead to some of those claims that you see on bottles, like for fish oil, might say supports heart health. Well, we know fish oil lowers triglycerides. It's more specific than supporting heart health. But because there are these structure and function, basically what applies to the structure and function of the human body, limited in terms of what can be said or even what can be studied. Now, this without what's called an FDA investigational new drug, IND. Now, D stands for drug. These aren't drugs. So it really shouldn't have, I don't think this was what Deshay intended. And there may be some reform coming for those that are really into the industry. It's sort of interesting to see. I've been involved with some of this, that we need to, we're actually making it very difficult to do good research now. There's not a lot of, I would say, regulation of safety of products, but most supplements are safe. We're going to look at some categories that are exceptions. The bigger question is the purity. Is what's on the label actually in the bottle? So when you do hear, one of these other things like, expensive urine, well, that's not true, or supplements aren't regulated. That's also not true, but you often don't know what you're getting. That is quite often the case. So we're going to go through today are 3 steps that you can take, as either a consumer of supplements or someone who is recommending them. Step 1 is make sure you know what you're taking. All right. Clarity on what's in the product. Step 2 is, well, all right, I know what's in it. Is it efficacious? Is it going to have the desired effect in me from the ingredient level, the formula level? And then finally, making sure that this is probably one of the hardest parts, making sure that the purity of the product ingredients is there. So I'm going to actually switch from screen to screen here. But first, we're going to go through some of the basics. So we should know at least from foods that you have to read the labels. You read the back of the package, not just the front. So this is an example of a product that, all right, you're like, okay, it has 100% of, a number of these vitamins, but what else does it have in it? If we look a little closer, read the fine print, we see food colorings, we see, artificial colors, we see preservatives, parabens, things that we don't want. For those that maybe are a little bit more trained to look at things, we also see forms of vitamins that we may not want. We see DL-alpha tocopherol, which is a synthetic vitamin E, as opposed to D-alpha tocopherol, which would be natural. So there's a lot of things not to like about this product. But the point is that you want to look at the fine print on this and read beyond just how these products are marketed. Now, this is probably more for practitioners, although consumers can look at this as well. This dietary supplement label database. Let's say that you're treating a patient who comes in and says, and that you're a conscientious clinician who's saying, well, I want to actually find out what my patients are taking. Because a lot of times that doesn't happen in the clinical care, but say you want to, and they tell you, I'm going to share my screen here. So now we're going to take a look at this. Let's say that someone comes in, again, I mentioned I take a bunch of different supplements, but one of them is not Get Ripped Fast. So someone says, I'm taking this, and you're like, well, what the heck is in that? So what the nice thing about this NIH's dietary supplement label database, and some may weren't even sure that there was the NIH does have an Office of Dietary Supplements. So let's say, okay, Get Ripped Fast. All right, I want to take a look at that. And you can go ahead and click on it. And what this will do is it gives you a look at the label to see what is in it. All right. And we see, if we zoom in a little bit, It's got green tea, caffeine, choline, a few other things that are here. Now, this is a key because, again, you have to know what you're taking and what your patients are taking. Again, we look at this here, we see some things, maybe we're not too crazy about there, but not terrible. But again, I would say first, let's be aware of what is our patient taking and why are they taking it, right? Get ripped fast is probably not going to be deliver on its promises for you. So this is the NIH Office of Dietary Supplement label database. And you can take a look around this. You can, again, I think they've got, over 160,000 different products that are contained in it right now. Slideshow was the term I was looking for before. Okay, so this is a good way to find out if there's a product that comes to you. You just don't know what's in it, and you can find out. Next one up is one of my absolute favorites, and that's Examine.com. I'd be curious in the chat who's heard about this, but it's just a fantastic resource led by reputable scientists and clinicians that just provides such a deep and relevant dive on a wide variety of different supplements with evidence-informed recommendations, so very practical, dosage details, adverse events, interactions with medications, and an extraordinarily deep list of citations to support all of it. And it's updated really often. I mean, obviously I go to PubMed to do the majority of my scientific literature searches, but sometimes if I want to take a first pass, I'm going to go and take a look at Examine.com, and I'm going to show you why here in just a moment. So let's take a look at an example on Examine.com.
And Dr. DiGiacomo, these
yes.
are not sponsored sites. I mean, this is reputable, objective information, right?
Absolutely. So these aren't sponsored sites. Many of them are free. So Examine.com, its base content is free. They have sort of an Examine Plus where you can get deeper into the research. But these aren't sponsored by anybody. And you'll see that they're actually pretty agnostic. And sometimes we'll even get into brands. What brands have the best evidence? So let's take a look at curcumin. That's a great question because we want to make sure, all right, is this something that's coming out at us without a lot of bias? So they'll give the highest level, at the top here. It goes a lot deeper than that. But, it gets into where is the evidence, pain to depression, and then, issues of bioavailability and so on. But we're going to scroll through here and look at the types of information that they provide. All right. So, we look at let's see, the sources and structure, where do you get it from? It talks about, well, it comes from turmeric. And then, we'll give you these sort of like capsules of information that are most important. Then structure and properties. It gets really, really into the details of this. I want to show you though, again, we go and we'll get into some of the different brands, again, it's sort of brand agnostic, but what are the brands that have done the studies on it? All right. So that can be helpful because let's say something like curcumin, there's all kinds of different formulas that are out there. These are just some of them that they list and how you would take them because you're going to take different doses from different products. We're going to go through this quickly just to show you these are the types of things that are here. So it goes into really, really deep detail. I'm going to show you how many references. So they've actually cited, let's see, as of now, 284 references. So there's a lot of information here. And if we go back up again, let's look at that was the research breakdown, but it also contains, what is it? High level stuff for you to take a look at. What does it do? Again, here are all those citations. What are the drawbacks? Very few things have no drawbacks. How does it work? What are some of the other things it's known as? And then I'm going to show you this, what's the dose to take? And it will give you the different products, sometimes just an extract, and then there's others that are branded. And then it rates the evidence for different supplements. So OA, curcumin is one of the best things to take for osteoarthritis. Gives it an A, and goes all the way down for a bunch of different things. And you can click on this, and it will bring you to the studies and actually link to PubMed. So this is just such a wonderful resource. I think no matter what you're doing, to take a look. I can see here, and can click through on each of these different ones. So this is just one example, tons of other examples in Examine.com, but this is a great place to go to find out is, what you're taking supported by, evidence, and then how do you take it? All right, let's share the screen again. Okay. Back in the slideshow. All right. So next up is NatMed. Some of you may know this used to be called the Natural Medicines Database. So this one is not free. You have to have a subscription for this, but it goes pretty deep on a bunch of different supplements as well. It will rate them, talk about interactions, adverse effects, different stages of life, nutrient depletion, which is key. I'm going to show you that on our next resource too. But let's take a quick look at the NatMed database as one example from it. So we'll take a look at ashwagandha, which is one of my favorites. So we can take a look here and see sort of other names for it. So it's been around for a long time and has accumulated many different names over the years. We'll give you an overview, some of the warnings, safety, use during pregnancy, lactation, adverse effects. Okay, so it goes into quite a bit of detail here. Again, our goal is not to look at these in detail today, just to show you what's out there. So this gives you about 16 pages, rehashing the science that's been done on it, where it's able to be rated. It will give, again, I think I like, it's very practical. What are the brands that have been used? So you can make very specific choices, the best, most informed choices. You see that listed throughout here. All the way down through for different areas, thyroid, Parkinson's disease. How do you take it? So a lot of the things, interactions. So they're pretty strong here with that. They grade the evidence, certain conditions. So not just interactions with drugs, but interactions with other supplements and conditions. Lab tests. We're aware of certain products that can change the way we the way labs present mechanisms and so on. So this is another nice resource that's out there that is NatMed. So again, when we're trying to figure out efficacy of which it is that we're taking.
So for both practitioners, I mean, I'm thinking for that one, especially for practitioners, it's quite complete in any kind of adverse effects or contraindications or reactions. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, it's quite complete. And again, because it is a fee for service, it might be more appropriate for practitioners, though consumers too. I mean, for those that take a lot of different supplements, it makes sense. And again, I think Examin's quite good on that too. We didn't get, because there's so much there, we didn't get into that, but they're pretty solid too. But I would say NatMed is probably a little bit deeper on the interaction side of things. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, and just to remind everyone, we're going to send out a resource list for you with all these links in there. You'll be able to have that at your fingertips. That'll go out by Friday, just so you know. You will receive Dr. Diadamo's resource list.
Indeed. All right. So next up, and I alluded to this before, is Midavin. So efficacy is it's important, but it's probably more important sometimes than others. And this is a great database of nutrients that are depleted by medications. I think a lot of us realize things like, okay, statins deplete CoQ10, proton pump inhibitors can deplete B12, and a lot of things can deplete melatonin. And so this is a great resource actually brought by Fullscript, which is itself a great resource that gets into these. So there's no cost and provides both the depletions by certain medications and the evidence behind that. How much evidence is there really? Was it one kind of one-off study, or is it pretty consistent? And then there's a link to Fullscript for clinicians who want to say, all right, well, I want to take action with this for my patients that are on beta blockers. They ought to take a magnesium or or a melatonin or something like that. Okay, so let's take a look at an example here.
I'm curious, while you're pulling that up, if you're a wellness enthusiast, and that would be like a non-practitioner attendee today, if you are at your practitioner, how often does your practitioner let you know that there could be a nutrient depletion with a recommended drug or pharmaceutical intervention? I'm really curious. This is a really passionate topic for myself and our team. how often does your practitioner say, hey, there could be a nutrient depletion here? Just curious if you want to pop that in the chat. Oh,
It's a great question.
I see some
I'm
nevers.
Curious too. Yeah. There's probably going to be a fair amount of nevers. I'm really passionate about teaching our medical students about this, but the vast majority of them didn't get anything else. I hate to say it, throughout their training. So if this is one, Prilosec, that I mentioned before, a lot of these antacids, we need stomach acid. And I think many of us here will realize that, while reflux and GERD are common, it's actually not, sometimes it may be from low stomach acid and not too much. And that there are problems when we reduce our stomach, our stomach acid. We need it to digest nutrients. So B12 is one, they give it an A, so 5 studies. So they'll actually, you can see here as an example of what was done with the citations. Again, a ton of citations here, and the quality of the evidence. So magnesium, that makes sense. It's another one, but I think people tend to be quite low in that to begin with, just from our diets and their soil being depleted of magnesium. Iron, zinc. And you can see there's a bunch of other medications here. These are some of the common ones, but you can poke around and look at whatever it is that you're taking and see, okay, or see what you're prescribing, whatever it might be. What are some nutrients that, can mitigate some of the damage? I mean, we've seen, pretty good data for things like with statins and CoQ10. If you administer CoQ10 with it, some of the muscle issues the incidence of those are less. So, it's not just a hypothetical thing. It's something that has some real life clinical value. So that's might have been really, really great resource.
What a great resource. Yeah. I hope everyone advocates for themselves today and goes in and types in just to see, because there's real ramifications to some of those nutrient depletions. And I don't know, Dr. D'Adamo, how many prescriptions for proton pump inhibitors do you think are written like on an annual?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. And the fact that that's now, it's been OTC for a while too. So how many people are taking them and not really, a lot of the studies on those they're for short term. They're not really been studied, certainly not in clinical trials. What happens when you take it for 10 years, and don't get to the root cause of why it was happening in the first place. So yeah, I mean, many millions, let's put it that way, are taking these, are taking these drugs.
Thanks everybody for your comments, by the way. Appreciate you contributing.
Yeah, thank you. I look forward to our Q&A and talking through this stuff too.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so looking at the peer-reviewed literature too. So these are great resources that we're going through, but not everything is going to be addressed on every one of these resources. So you do want to look at ideally products that are used in published clinical research. There's a lot of copycatting that happens in this industry where, there will be a particular product that is studied in a clinical trial, and then 100 different brands will cite that evidence as evidence for their product, but it wasn't really their product. So ideally, we're going to talk later about, and Maria's going to get into this too, the difference between different finished products of the same ingredients is different. There's different. So I can tell you as a clinical researcher who does these, if I'm going to take the time to write a grant and go through all this process with IRBs or so on, I want to make sure that the product that I'm using has what it says it has, doesn't have what I don't want it to have, and so on. So when researchers choose it, it's usually a good sign. Also, it's a sign if the company invests in supporting research that they care. So either way, when you find it, it's a good sign. And I would suggest looking. And most of the companies that have done this will point to it. Okay, Maria, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I just, we're trying to keep this webinar really informative, but I do want to just show this. This is what you want to look for. This is some of our published research that has been going on for decades, actually. We've always been very committed to not just clinical efficacy, but also research. So these are just some of the papers. If you're a practitioner, you have access to these on Biocidin Academy. But biofilms, one of the first to research biofilms, SIBO, oral dysbiosis. We're going to talk about a few more later. Dr. D'Adamo is actually involved in some of the current research we have going on now. The microbiome, of course, that's our genius zone, I would say. So I thought we'd put these up here just to show, to me, this is one of the things that's really important to look for, whether you're a practitioner or a consumer, and you can call the company, what outside research are you involved in? Not just the ingredients in the product, but the actual finished product. So thanks for letting me chime in.
Yeah, sure. No, agree 100%. Commend you, Maria, and Biocidin for taking the initiative to do this. It's voluntary. It's not required. So those that are doing this are really to be commended. Okay, so once we get beyond efficacy, there's a lot of other factors that influence what that finished product that you're putting in your body does. So how are the raw materials sourced? We're going to go through a little bit of that today. Fillers and preservatives. I saw someone talk about cellulose actually right before we got started with the Q&A. The bioavailability of the formula, is it transparent? The facility. So that's a big one there too. I mean, how clean is it? What is their technical capability? Some are run like, with pharma type of standards, others not as much. Safety, the traceability, is there a lot number on it? Can you verify the purity? Are there audits of the raw material suppliers and so on? And at the level of the finished product, everything from how's it packaged, how's it shipped, is it back on the back of a hot truck forever, and who's selling it, and then customer service. Good companies should be able to answer informed questions. So here's some other things to think about. So we'll talk a little bit about purity. One of the places to go, it's not perfect, but was sort of an early innovator in terms of how can you find out, is this product actually pure, as consumerlab.com. So it's run by physicians that had pharma and FDA experience. They've reviewed hundreds of different supplements and revealed many poor products. And this is one that is kind of pay to play. So there may be a little bit of inherent conflict of interest there. But what you can say from this is that products that are identified by Consumer Lab as problematic are probably problematic. All right. So we're going to take a look at an example here of something with Consumer Lab. So let's take a look. I'll pull this up. All right, we'll go and take a look at CBD and hemp extract. That's a pretty big area. So they do a good job of, they update things pretty regularly too. This was last updated a few months ago now. And what they will do is they will have little videos that kind of, you can probably recognize some of these for anyone who's in this. It talks a little about what it is, how does it work, what did they test? So for example, they tested, all right, well, how much CBD is in the products, from 5.7 to 240 milligrams per serving. It's a massive difference. And then, price and so on. So they do some pretty interesting stuff. CBD is interesting too, because, well, how much THC is contained in it. And then how do you make choices? So it's a pretty good resource, though. You do have to, they'll have some of their citations here too. You see some of them, which I like when these resources do that. These are the products that they took a look at. Again, these are some of the popular ones, but you have to be a member to get deeper access to it. Again, some of the common questions: does CBD reduce pain and so on? So there's this can be a nice resource for those that are really interested in a particular supplement, or if you're a clinician and you're just curious and want to know more about the brands that you might be recommending. So this is consumerlab.com. Again, been around for a while, almost 25 years now. All right. So next up on our list is a similar one that is free, actually. And that is, let's get this shared again. I am really exercising my screen share skills here. Okay. This is labdoor.com. And this is one that is another lab that does off-the-shelf evaluation of different dietary supplements. So there's actually no manufacturer support or product contribution, or no cost to consumers. So it's a different model than Consumer Lab. They do have a store, but the ratings don't favor any of the products. And they also recently had a certification, so that there is some kind of, you could say potential preference there from them, but it is a little bit less prone to sort of paying for the analysis. Same thing here. I'd say you'd avoid products that have poor lab door ratings. So let's take a look at an example. All right, here. And the example we will take a look at is one of my favorites, and that is magnesium. So this is what it will look like when you search, and they have their different, ratings of products. So let's take a look. They've got a bunch of A pluses here. Let's just take a look at what makes it an A plus. So, so again, they've got links to these. So does it have the magnesium that it says it has? So it actually had a little bit more. It's generally good, but that actually could be a little bit of an issue too if it's way too much. Does it have lead and arsenic, heavy metals and things you don't want? Had a little bit, but much, much, much less than the USP limit. So that's the main points of analysis. They have other ones that we'll look at, like for the fish oils, they'll look at, does it have dioxins and that type of thing. Let's look at a bad one. There's usually a range. Okay, so they're that bad. Let's see what the problem with this one is. Ionic magnesium. So it had much less magnesium than it said it did. So only about 60% of the magnesium that it said it did. So this one, yes.
It's interesting. It's never going to be like right on, right? It's not an exact, but it at least needs to be or above, right? What the label claim is.
It ought to be. Yeah, it ought to be. And I wonder if I wonder why this one didn't make it. But yeah, it ought to be at least at, or like that other one, sure, it is a little above, but that's better. Is not, again, if it was like 10 times higher, you'd have concern too. But yeah, you don't want it to be considerably off the way this one is. Now note that this one doesn't have any arsenic, mercury. The other one had a little bit. But yeah, so it's a great resource just to poke around with different products. The main limitation with this is that they don't have everything, right? So they've got select brands and so on. All right, so we are making our way through these. Next up, okay. Well, kind of like, why does all this matter? May have heard about this story a number of years ago, but what's on the label is often not in the bottle. Just to cut right to the chase. So there was this New York Attorney General that looked at some of the big retailers, GNC, Walmart, where a lot of people go. I mean, they value shop, when they're buying supplements, and they found that St. John's wort, which St. John's wort can be a great antidepressant. There's good data for it. There's some really good products out there, but the one that they had in GNC contained not a trace of St. John's wort, but it had depression, or not depression. It had might cause you depression when you read about how bad some of these are. Had rice, garlic, and a tropical houseplant. All right, so this is not only you not getting what you think you're getting, but if you've got a garlic issue or whatever's in the houseplant, this can be a real problem. So there are some companies that are really just don't have good products at all, and there are others that do things. Again, I mentioned like this is what you might see like in a pharma company. I don't know, Maria, do you want to say a word or two about what we see in these images here?
Oh, yeah, this is just a quick snapshot of, this is a pharmaceutical grade manufacturer who makes our dental flora, which just hit the market a couple weeks ago, just to give you an idea of what manufacturing actually looks like. Super fun. I went and was able to observe that, fully gowned up, by the way. I had a full bunny suit on, and that was actually through a plexiglass window. I took those videos. So great.
That's great. I mean, I think you see it with the gown and everything. I mean, I think you see the good companies are doing these kinds of measures. They care, they understand, that an environment that's not clean is going to cause issues. There's just inevitably it's going to cause issues. So good companies are doing things like this that don't have such issues.
Definitely.
There's also,
and I think as you said earlier too, I just want to comment, the quality process really starts in the paper formulation first.
Mm-hmm.
Your specifications for your ingredients have to be built in from the beginning, and then you got to test to make sure you're meeting label claim. So it is quite involved.
It's unbelievable. These are the kinds of things that you can ask And you may not always get the exact answer, but you should get a ballpark, or you should, like, we'll get back to you on it, something like that. I've seen some of these specifications. So the specifications, just how much of microbes, of heavy metals and other things that you don't want in there are allowed. And I've seen variation from some, when it comes to the specification that a brand has of the same ingredient, they might tolerate 10 million CFU per gram of we call anaerobic plate count, or microbes that are in it. Others that are like 5,000. That's a big difference. And same thing with the mold and yeast and these things. So there are big differences here. And again, the better companies will be able to give you some information on that. And those that don't know at all, I mean, that's probably not a great sign. And there's also third-party labs that will do this. Sometimes you'll see these kinds of things that again, this is voluntary, that companies will do to ensure that their product has what it says it has in the label, doesn't have what you don't want. And these are just some of, there's a variety of these different labs out there that you can get on the finished product. Then there's also, a lot of other factors that go into this. These are some of them here. These are some of the labs that are reputable, that are doing some of these kinds of things. So, we look at the raw materials. It starts on the paper formulation, then, the raw material sourcing. It's a big part of it. How do we know where those raw materials are coming from? Are they coming from some bunch of different shady sources with no accountability? I loved how Maria mentioned one of the, products is now organic. It's great. Now you can't always get things organic because the capsules can't be organic, which is crazy, even if so there's things like that, but it's biodynamic, non-GMO, these kinds of things that I think are really important, not just to our health, but also the health of the planet. Are they doing stability testing? So that's where you basically, put a product and see how's it going to age. You create these conditions where how's it going to look, year or 2 or 3, down the line. Again, what's that specification look like? Do they have certificates of authenticity? Is there third-party lab? So there's a lot of things here. You may not be able to attain everything, but you should get a response on these types of issues. And I know, Marie, you've got a lot. You're going to present things too, but you've got a lot of experience with this year. Do you want to mention anything here? Or?
Yeah, I think this is a great list, and just know that some of these things might not be on a company's website. You should always be able to call. One of the specifications on DSHEA labeling is that there's a contact right on the bottle. You should know how to contact the company, ask these questions. I see a lot of comments in the chat as far as natural flavors, citric acid, sourcing, that kind of thing, certificates of analysis or authenticity. Our team, if you want to see that on any of our individual products, our quality team can share that with you. So you should be able, within reason, to dive in and ask some of these questions and receive back some transparent answers. So this is, I like to tell this story because when we go into formulation and we provide a specification sheet, right? If we're specifying a standardization on a material, even beyond organic, what's the specific constituent we're looking for? We test that raw material in the formulation phase to make sure we have a good source. And sometimes it could take 3 and 4 times to go find a material that's actually meeting those standards. So I know my supply team is smiling right now because it's you have to be really committed to that process and delivering on that for our practitioners and our consumers. It does take quite a bit of extra work there.
Yeah, it's really tough, and I could commend you for how your processes are, especially with things like herbs. It's one thing if it's synthetic vitamin C and some of these things. Okay, I mean, but that's fairly easy to produce. But for herbs, something that's coming from the ground, coming up, there's a lot of places where that can pick up issues. So it's really important for herbal products that you get this kind of information, because otherwise, you may not know what you're getting, and it could cause issues. So
that's right. And even if, for example, we have lemon balm in our GI intercom, great herb, fantastic for nervous system and gut. And, it took us a few times to find the right, it wasn't coming back that it was necessarily dangerous. It was just not lemon balm. Mm-hmm. So we just always have to be, as Liz says, just scrupulous and just dialing in and asking the right questions and being committed to getting that right material.
Yeah, right on. Okay, we'll close my portion with a few supplements to generally consider avoiding. Again, most supplements are safe, but there are some. The big questions we've seen is are you actually getting what you think you're getting? That's the big question, and we've gone through some ways that you can be confident in doing so. But there are some that pose risk, and some of these are like the weight loss supplements are one of the big categories. First, they're not likely to be effective for the long term, really. I mean, I've done a lot of looking into this, and it just things like diet and exercise, sleep, stress management. These are the kind of foundations for that. But what you find, and where the FDA has taken a close look at these, are those that are, they say, tainted with pharmaceuticals that can cause issues, many of which have been withdrawn. So you should get a sense. Some of it's kind of like the common sense test. Like, this is probably something looks a little bit shady, just to be honest with you. That's one that had been removed. I'm going to show you what the FDA has here, the last of our resources that we're going to go through, and show you what they have, because they are keeping an eye on this. So let's take a look at the weight loss product category. Okay, and what they have done is they're tainted weight loss products, and they'll have a whole list of these different ones that have been taken off the market at different times. And you look at a lot of these Ultra Slim Gold, Miss Slim, these things, they just they should give us some pause by how these are. This is going on the fly here. We'll take a look at Super Slim and just see. They usually show the label. Yeah, I mean, again, you hate to judge a book by its cover, but that cover should have you pretty suspicious, from the onset. So these are the FDA is really looking at a few categories here. These are areas where they might be unsafe. So let's pull back up the.
So there's like two issues here, right? There's the ingredients, from a safety standpoint. And then there's these like FTC, like you mentioned earlier, these, around claims. So I think that there's weight loss supplements are, it's such a, it's a high money category. I think it gets a little sketchy there.
It does. And that's one of the reasons. Yeah. I mean, you get both the marketing issue, you get the ingredients that they say they have, and then you get these ingredients that they don't say they have that you probably don't want, like this particular stimulant that was a sibutramine. Other two big categories are sexual enhancement supplements, same kind of thing. These are often spiked with PDE5 inhibitors, which a lot of times a patient's on a nitrate, okay, well, I want to, this can cause issues, and, taking one of these products with it can contribute to potentially very low blood pressure. Again, the same kinds of things here. And then bodybuilding supplements. I want to be specific here, not to lump in things like creatine monohydrate, which is a great supplement. If you find a good one, that's one of my favorite supplements. It's not just for strength and, body composition stuff, but also for cognitive function, mood, and other things, or whey protein and other great certain amino acids. But things like this, right, that promise steroid-like components, just you have to keep an eye out for these types of things. All right. So that is conclusion. There's my email address. You can certainly contact me. Look forward to our Q&A, and we'll turn it over to Maria.
Okay, great. Thank you. I want to put this up here because first of all, we're really proud of this. The practitioners you see on the right there, that is our in-house team. Many of you have probably heard them speak: Dr. Strand, Dr. Klaus-Mackey, Dr. Hernandez, Dr. Kulkarni, Dr. Mansky. This is our in-house 5 practitioners on board with our team. In addition, we have quite a few master's level nutritionists on our team. And then on the left, of course, right at the top there, you'll see Dr. Diadamo. This is our scientific advisory board. And this is a very active part of our business. They're involved in research, as Dr. Diadamo is. They're involved in speaking, in product development. Dr. Ariano is very involved in our oral care line. Dr. Lynn Patrick is helping us with some research on an ongoing pilot research on MAFLD, Dr. Greenberg's sneak peek. We do have some topicals coming along the way. So like, this is a very close-knit and involved community here. So I just want to, brag on our team a little bit there. We can move to the next slide. You know what, Chris, if you want to let our team share, just so you're not responsible for letting it. There we go. And then we talked about this a little bit earlier. Again, this is our published research on Biocidin Academy. We have new research that just got published. We submitted this last year. Distinctive detoxification, the case for including the microbiome in your detox strategy. Really important. If you're a wellness enthusiast, this is great reading. If you're a practitioner, I hope you're already involving the microbiome in your detox strategy, but just want to put that's up actually right off PubMed. Really great. Okay, so I think we're just going to talk about key takeaways. This is kind of our view, Dr. Diadamo, but obviously there's many factors, many resources you put up to consider, whether that's interactions, adverse events, quality, efficacy, even claims on the products, but you're providing us with a lot of reliable resources to help you evaluate. And I hope you're not overwhelmed today. I hope you're feeling empowered, that you have, a lot of people are, oh, dietary supplements aren't regulated. I hope we've busted that myth today. And don't be afraid to reach out. Our company and many other of our partners in this space, they will provide you with information upon request, even if you don't see it on the website. So please feel empowered to reach out and ask for the information. Anything else on this, Chris, that you can think to kind of sum up?
Key takeaways. No, I mean, I think I think this kind of nails it as far as the key takeaways. I was just poking through the Q&A and chat, a lot of great discussion points. So yeah.
Okay, you guys, we're definitely going to get to some of I see some great questions. And remember too, we are going to have a resource sheet available to you. There it is right up there on the screen. That's going to be emailed and also a link to today's talk. I know some people miss the beginning or they have to hop off early. So our team will definitely be sending that out to you by Friday. So really great. So let's take a quick question before I share some highlights here. And I saw this question come up early, and I think this is a really good on research. So Annette is asking, should we be skeptical when companies pay for studies on their products? And I would say this, let's talk about this also in relationship to pharma. Like if we're paying for our own research or we're partnering with a university, which a lot of our published research is university backed. But what does that look like for research?
Great question. I mean, I think if you look at most research, I mean, I wish we didn't say this, but most FDA approved drugs were funded. The clinical trials that got that approval were funded by pharma. Yeah. And then if you look at nutrition, when you see studies that walnuts are healthful for us, or not to pick on the avocados or whatever it might be, a lot of times those were funded by the Walnut Council or the Avocado Group. So, I think it's something that you need to be aware of. All right. So I think you need to be aware, but if it's disclosed, just the nature of how research is right now, the vast majority of, there's so little like NIH funded prevention research and so on. And even the NIH, if you look at who funds their budget, and there's an NIH foundation that gets a lot of money from pharma and so on. So it's not to pick on pharma, but research, there's very, very little research that doesn't have some type of either financial conflict of interest or conflict of, I would say, not just financial interest, but also like bias of the researchers. Like, when it comes to diets, I've done a lot of work in nutrition. Those that think a certain diet is like the diet for everybody, they tend to kind of everything, if all you got to hammer, everything looks a little bit like a nail, So I think it's something you need to be aware of, but we also need to be aware of that this is just pervasive in research. If the study has been peer reviewed, if everything is stated clearly, if the conflicts are stated clearly, then I think that's just the nature of research today. So I don't get too I don't get too concerned about that. I think it's a little bit of a false dichotomy to think that something not funded by industry is completely not having conflicts, because there's just all kinds of conflicts. There's publication bias.
Yeah.
What I would have loved to have seen, you've been saying this for years, is you get negative results. It's hard to get that published much of the time. Now, I think some of these journals, not to go too down the rabbit hole, but look at who the advertisers of the journals are. Again, a lot of times pharma, some of these kinds of things, and so you just need to have a discriminating eye in terms of the whole research enterprise and what goes into it. And I think most of the companies that I've worked with are pretty hands off. Because I've done industry funded research, I've done NIH funded research, I've done philanthropic supported research. I think a lot of the good researchers, if a company is like meddling and so on, then you won't really want to work with them. So I think a lot of companies just they provide the funding because that's how a lot of the funding gets done. And then the results are what the results are. So we could have a long conversation.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out to me with more information on that. But it's not a black and white topic by any means.
Very, very good. Thank you. And thank you everyone for your questions. We're gonna definitely get to more. But I have a few highlights for you first, and good stuff, fun. Again, remember, you're gonna get a link to the replay in your inbox today, along with the resource sheet. I hope this is some new information. I know there were a couple of references Dr. Diadamo listed that I didn't know myself. So I hope everyone learned a little bit today, hopefully a lot. And about the free practitioner account, I think I saw in the chat, please make sure you click on that. We are constantly adding new information, resources, blogs, research, of course, new products, new, any kind of new thing we have going on with the company. So it's also on our website, biocidin.com, under the healthcare professionals tab. And then our past webinars. I don't know, team, this is now 3 years we've been doing webinars. I don't know if y'all realize that, but we're coming to the close of 3 years of these webinars. They are there on Biocidin Academy, lots of different topics, and other videos as well, all available 24/7. So in addition to all of the videos, we have articles, protocol sheets, usage guides, white papers, research. So not just research on our finished products, but also we have a white paper which goes into why are we including an individual ingredient? What kind of research is on each individual ingredient, and why did we include it in that product? In addition to some patient resources. So the other part of Biocidin Academy is that you also get access to our clinical team. So remember, before I put up our in-house team, you can schedule a 15 or 30-minute call with them. You can also schedule a one-on-one product and clinical training. So again, just trying to make sure you have the right education to use the right products with your patients at the right time in the right way. So as a practitioner partner, you can also take advantage of premier pricing for deep discounts when you order through us. We have a patient direct program. We're just trying to make it easy for you and simple to dispense the right products without the hassle of stocking and shipping. So definitely check that out. If you're a healthcare professional, we're putting that link in there for you. So, and again, as I mentioned earlier, this is brand new, Health Hub. So let's look at what this is. This is coming later this month. If you're like me, you're starting to think, okay, I'm going to make it through the holidays. I want to do a reset for myself the first of the year, whether you call it a detox or a reset. But there's going to be articles, videos, infographics, fast facts, oral care, immune support, detox, gut health, right? This is like foundational. So if you're on our newsletter list, you're going to get an email letting you know when that has launched. So this is brand new. If you're not on our newsletter list, there's a sign up link in the chat. So definitely take care of that. So another relevant topic, we talked about this a little bit, relevant to December, not quite as fun, but it is real. Whether you're a practitioner or a wellness enthusiast, we all experience heartburn from time to time, particularly at the holidays, right? We tend to kind of go off the rails a little bit. if you don't know yet, GI Intercalm is a great resource for managing occasional heartburn. It has ongoing benefits, gut brain benefits as well. It's a daily drink. It's all year long. You could use it. Lemon ginger flavor. It's unique. It's delicious. It's keto friendly. It doesn't have a bunch of sugar and artificial flavors in it. So for your gut, your mood, your sleep, we're crazy about this product. Wrap it up as a gift, tuck it into their stocking. And if you haven't tried it already, I hope you will soon. We're very proud of this. This was years in the making. So I hope you will give GI Intercalm a try if it's right for you. So a lot of people this week are trying GI Intercalm in Las Vegas. We are at A4M, which stands for American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine World Congress. We're boots on the ground in Vegas right now, anticipating a great show. I know our team is doing a pre-conference. We're setting up our booth. We're going to invite Dr. Emily. Hopefully she can join us real quick live from Vegas. Emily, what's happening over there?
Hi, Maria. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. It's good to see you all. Here's the team behind me.
Yeah.
We are here live at A4M. Really excited to share our products with everyone. It's been a good pre-conference so far. We've got a few more days ahead of us, so we're looking forward to it. And also some exciting news. So we're starting off next year with our next webinars. I'm actually hosting this one. We're having Dr. Jacqueline Smeaton join us. She is a specialist on fertility. So she's going to be talking about fertility and the microbiome. We're really excited to have her. I've personally taken a weekend seminar from her and absolutely loved it. I use her information all the time with my patients. So really looking forward to that one. I believe it's January 17th. So make sure you sign up for that one and join us.
Wow, great. Thank you so much for joining and hi team. Oh my gosh.
Here's the team again. The booth looks great. We got a big booth being set up upstairs or around the corner that is going to be very impressive. So if anyone's here local, come say hi.
Great. Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Emily.
Yeah, no problem. Great webinar. Thanks for sharing all your knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is so exciting. So I hope everyone has enjoyed today. We're going to get to questions here in just a minute. It's great to have access to this collective knowledge. This is a big part of who we are, is sharing knowledge, collaborating. And as we look into 2024, we have a great roster of industry experts lined up. We did this thing called speaker series. So you can go in there now, you can register for multiple talks in a single click. We've made it really easy, including the January webinar that Dr. Hernandez just mentioned. So definitely be sure to check that out. Okay, let's do our drawing, our grand prize giveaway. We're going to roll through this because we have 5 winners today. So first up is our remove category. We have our winner today is Lisa Edens Tan. She has won a BioClear kit. Congratulations to Lisa. Our team is going to reach out to you guys, just so you know. That's our BioClear microbiome detox program. Second, next up is our binds category, another BioClear microbiome detox program, and that winner is Hope Prass. I really hope I'm getting everyone's names right. Hope, our team will also reach out to you. And then our restore category, which this time is GI Intercalm, Biotonic Adaptogenic Elixir, and ProFlora, which is our spore-based probiotic. Congratulations to Monica Dubose. Congratulations, Monica. And then our defense category, again, our Olive Irex, which is our standardized olive leaf, as well as our Biocidin throat spray. That winner today is Mary Kenny. Thank you, Mary, for joining us, and congratulations to you. And then our smile category, which is a personal fave, is our Dental Side toothpaste, our oral rinse, and then our brand new Dental Flora daily oral probiotics. And that prize goes to Sandy Cummins. So congratulations, Sandy, and thank you for joining. And I think that's everybody, right? Fantastic. Okay, great. So no one goes home empty-handed. In addition to all the knowledge we've shared, we give everyone a 15% discount when you place an order in the next 2 weeks. You can do that on our website, biocidin.com, and use the code right there that's up on the screen, 23 DEC Web Live. It's just our way of saying thank you and happy holidays. So, okay, let's get to some questions. Let's dive in here. So, Chris, do you see some of the questions in there we've got?
Let's see. Yeah, first one, is there a good resource discussion with substitute taken on an empty stomach versus with a meal? Somebody take it away from you. Examine.com would be a good one for that. Generally speaking, certainly lipid soluble, fat soluble micronutrients for sure. A, D, E, K. So you're probably going to want to take that with food. But there's other things too. I mean, a number of herbs, you talk about, curcumin that's fat soluble. So I would probably, I am not aware, it may be out there. It's a good question. Is there a condensed resource? There probably is. I don't know if any of the Biocidin team is aware of that. And then before I get into that, we're taking away from each other's, again, on a case-by-case basis, there's certain things, certain minerals that interact with one another, that you would probably want to have away from each other. But
and some that benefit each other, right? There's some.
Absolutely.
Right. I think
for sure.
Was like iron and vitamin C and yeah,
absolutely. And folate. Yeah. Vitamin C, folate, vitamin C and folate will increase the absorption of iron. Someone asked about vitamin E as well. So that's actually, I did my doctoral work in that. So certain types of I think, by the way, the question is very specific to avoid all tocopherols in favor of tocotrienols. I don't think you should. Tocopherols are important too. There's actually 8 forms of vitamin E, but if you take very high doses of alpha tocopherol, it can deplete the others. So that's an instance where you'd probably want to take them together. Same thing with some of the antioxidants. You probably want to take E with, if you're going to take E with selenium and C and some of these others that help regenerate them. So there's a lot of synergies between them, but you're going to find out in some of the resources I shared today. They'll get into it on a case-by-case basis. But as far as a specific resource just on that topic, I'm not aware, but it may be out there.
Definitely. And I think it calls to also working with a good practitioner, right? Like that's part of it, is having a practitioner who's educated in supplementation and hopefully is connected with some of these professional supplement companies that understand that if you take zinc by itself, it might cause a different deficiency somewhere along the way, because the foods in nature, they're they have a full spectrum of nutrients, not just one.
Yes,
definitely. Joanne says D and K2 together. So
yeah D, K2. D is one of the big ones, magnesium would be another one that you want to have with it. It's going to help bring, and then certainly if you're taking calcium, you want to take it with D, K2, magnesium, even boron, because it's going to help bring that calcium into the bones as opposed to staying in circulation for sure. It would be a definite.
Great. Okay, thank you for that. Really valuable information. Okay, so here's a good question. So Annette's asking, regarding regulation, there are rules to follow, but not necessarily reinforced for all. So what does that look like, Dr. Diadamo? Can we talk about that? As far as, how is the FDA regulating the dietary supplements?
Right. So you may have even more experience with this than I do. My knowledge is that so there's these GMP, and you can be GMP. I mentioned there's good manufacturing practices where FDA will come and inspect, and there's GMP compliant. There's certified GMP, which is it's better. But again, it's relatively light. But I think when you can, it's certainly better to have that than not. So I don't know what your experiences are, Maria.
Yeah, I think that for sure. I think sticking with companies that are CGMP either certified, or they're working with manufacturers that have some sort of third-party certification, because it's a rigorous inspection process, all the way from how you do your formulations to what happens to that product when it leaves, to how it's tracked, You know, your product should have a lot number on there. It should be very specific to where it was purchased. Like all these things are inspected along the way when you're third party verified. So, but you know, yeah, no, the FDA is not inspecting every single product the minute it hits the marketplace, which is why what we've been talking about today is do your research, find the professional high level companies who are educating, who are doing the research, who are putting out, you know, the labels that are legal, that are in compliance, they're not making crazy claims. And once you find kind of your few companies, you know, I would stick with those companies because, and ask the questions, you know, call their customer service, ask them some tough questions and see what they come back with. Again, it's like this is just being an advocate for anything that's going in your body.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Well, I think we have time to take one more. So let's see. So Annette's asking again, what's the difference between DSHEA and GMP?
So the SHAE basically laid out the framework for what dietary supplements are, how they're regulated, you know, claims that can be made about them, research and so on. So that goes back a long ways, though there are, you know, efforts ongoing right now to update that, to make it a little, because it's hard, like I mentioned, it's hard to do even the research. You know, when people say, oh, there's no research for it, A, that's not true. B, it is very hard to get to do it. So there's some movements on modernizing DSHEA. It's going back about 30 years now. And GMP was, I think, fully put into, you know, around 2007 to like early 2010s. That's where we get into some of these inspections of the facility and the requirements that are needed there. So that came after DSHEA to kind of help raise the bar a little bit in terms of quality and sanitation and that type of stuff.
Definitely. And you can look, it's public access. If there are warning letters given to a company, they're fully accessible. You can Google and find those on the FDA's website, actually. So warning letters are given from anything from, you know, cleanliness, you know, how you're cleaning your equipment, how it's getting recorded, all the way down to, are your raw materials being tested before they're being used? So there's a lot of steps in between related to the CGMPs that, again, I think came down in 2007, fully implemented around 2010. So, okay, fantastic. This has been incredible. Thank you, Dr. D'Adamo, for your time, for sharing your insights. This is a lot of great resources, hopefully, for our practitioners and our wellness enthusiasts. So selecting the best supplements is vitally important. It's just as important as the food you choose, whether you're choosing for yourself or your family or providing that care to your patients. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you to our incredible event team. 3 years of webinars. I can't say enough. Donna Putnam, you're just incredible. So just want to give a shout out to you and your event team. We couldn't do this without you. If you have further questions or you would like to explore our range of high quality supplements, please reach out to our team. Questions at biocidin.com or clinical@biocidin.com. Look for that promised replay email in your inbox by Friday. And as a reminder for those with practitioner accounts, the full content of today's presentation will be in Biocidin Academy. We hope you'll keep up with us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Here's that promo code one last time to save 15% off. Site-wide, biocidin.com. We will see you all in the new year. I hope your holiday is peaceful, bright, and full of all the people that you love. And thank you all for sticking with us, and we'll see you in 2024.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.